Hello, it's Phil here at digitaldjtips.com with a look at the Denon MCX8000 DJ controller. This is quite a revolutionary controller in that it offers you the ability to DJ without your laptop using Denon's engine software, which prepares your music on your laptop and puts it onto a USB in order to plug into the unit and then DJ laptop free using the built-in screens to give you waveforms and using the analysis that Engine has done to give you lots of controller type features. We're talking things like looping, cues, slicer. The unit itself has effects built in, so there is a echo, a phaser and a noise effect, and it's got filters built in. So just from your USB you can DJ using full waveforms, you can search your library, you can use the pads to do controller type stuff, and you've got effects as well. So you've got a lot of the versatility of laptop DJing but without the laptop. There's a sync button as well. So Engine software, which is what allows that to happen and runs on your laptop, on your PC or your Windows, is one of the features of this. It works on 2 of the 4 channels. Let's talk about the channels then. It's a 4-channel controller. It's a 4-channel standalone controller. So that means you can plug 4 line, 2 phono inputs, basically all the stuff you'd want to plug into any mixer, into the back of here. And using the switches at the top, you can switch between those things. So we can switch from our 4 inputs, as I say, 2 record decks, 2 CDs, whatever. We can switch seamlessly into our USB music. There's actually 2 USB drives here, so you can have 2 DJs with 2 different USB collections. Very easy to switch between them at the top there. So I hope you're starting to see the versatility here. 4 external inputs, 2 USB inputs with waveforms and so on. The external inputs also work with the filters, also work with the 3 built-in effects. So power there as well. There's a lot of stuff there that you don't get on some cheaper controllers where you can just quickly plug your extra inputs into the back of them. But the big thing, the big extra thing, apart from all the stuff I've just told you, is that this is also a 4-channel Serato DJ controller. It is one of the most fully featured Serato DJ controllers that we've ever covered. It's got all the usual stuff, cues, rolls, auto loop, slicer, sampler control. It's even got a kind of tone play control where it uses Serato's pitch and time stretching, key shifting plugin to let you just kind of do some tone play on the pads, which is really cool. So it's a fully featured Serato controller as well. And the thing that's really stood out for me playing with and testing this is that you can switch seamlessly between Serato from your laptop, Engine from your USB drives, and your external stuff, line inputs, CDs, I know your phone plugged in the back, record decks, seamlessly. So you could have you with all this stuff going on, or you could have different DJs wanting to play different things. You could have 2 Serato DJs playing, and then while you're unplugging and switching the other one in, you put your USB drive in and play just a couple of tracks on Engine off USB. It'll also play normal tracks off USB. So it's a highly versatile DJ controller. So before actually giving you my kind of summary of this, I want to tell you what else we're going to do to cover this controller. We're going to cover using Engine, how to get your music onto Engine and into it. We're going to cover using it with Serato and all its features, and we're going to cover all the external features that you've got, external inputs, external outputs, using it with video, using it with lighting, and all that kind of stuff in separate videos. It's a big controller. We can't do all that in one video. So consider this our kind of overview video. And also, because I like it so much, I'm going to kind of like try and do some other stuff with it. I might take it to a gig. I might kind of take it apart so we can see what's inside it. It's clearly quite a good bit of engineering. Let's talk about the engineering actually. It's really solid. You know, Denon controllers have always been known as the controllers that people who have to take pro gear out on the road with them prefer. You know, high-end mobile DJs, anyone who's got to turn up with their own kit and wants something professional. And this is continuing in that vein. It's a solid metal construction, very high quality sound. So it's a contender, certainly. We'll talk about the competition in a bit. So that is the kind of overview of the unit. Let's take a closer look at some of its features. So talking through the decks, at the top here is where our 2 USBs plug in, and you can eject the USBs as well. This is clearly the main screen. There's 2 of these screens. They're not touch screen, but there's a lot of controls around them that let you control them. There's a utility menu in here, which lets you do things like change the LED. So if you find this LED a little bit garish, you can go and change it for the decks and just have a single LED on rather than a single one off. At the moment, there's one off there. and that's going to rotate when we've got a piece of music playing on there. But we can set it to the other way, so there's only one on, and just that one LED will go around. So you've got that choice there. Set that back to how it was, and a few other settings in here as well to get it all working how you want to. So that's the utility menu. You have your zoom in and out for your waveforms. You've got some crate buttons and playlist buttons for switching between the parts of your library, and other bits and pieces down here, time adjust and so on. Here's your preparation, and here's your track loading knob. Here's our effects, and there's the on-off for the effects. So that's kind of the screen area. This is a jog wheel, capacitive jog wheel. Touch on the top to stop the track playing and to scratch with it. On the edge is to nudge. You have key lock and key sync. If you're using Serato with pitch and time, you've got a key sync option there. Big, nice, long, good feeling pitch fader with a click in the middle. We've got pitch bend and also pitch range. By holding shift, you can alter how much the pitch fader goes up or down. Here's a loop area. It's got auto loop, half and double. It's also got manual loop by using shift. And parameter select helps you select the parameters for whatever you've got going on the pads. Pads are multicolor, LED, velocity sensitive. You've got cue, roll, slicer, loop. You can save loops, of course. You can have cue looping, and you can have the velocity sampler as well as a sampler. So if you want velocity on your drumming, that's there as well. This is also where you have tone play. There's a function within Serato DJ for tone play. So you can just kind of like mess around with the keys using pitch and time, which is a plugin for Serato DJ that lets you do that stuff. So down here, we can adjust the beat grid, assuming a beat grid is set. There's the ubiquitous sync button here. This works with your USB stuff, which comes in from the engine software here, but it also works with Serato. You can't sync between the two, by the way, so you can't be playing Serato on one deck and engine on the other and hit sync, just so be aware of that. And you've got your cue and play pause buttons, all feeling nice there. 2 decks, of course, so you can switch between the decks here. Sensor in reverse. There's also slip mode. You've got stop time, so you can work out how long you want the deck to play for once you hit stop, so you can have that kind of vinyl slowdown there. So that's a kind of overview of a deck. The other deck's very similar, but it hasn't got the USB plugins, of course, because they're both there. So this deck here, oh, by the way, just to clear it up, you can play straight from one USB across the whole unit. The 2 USBs are there just in case you've got a second DJ who wants to play as well. So you just put the second one in, hold down the back button, and it'll give you an option of switching between them. So you can play from both concurrently on both decks. It's not like one of those old-fashioned players where you needed 2 USBs to use 2 decks or anything like that, just to clear that one up. So the mixer in the middle, 4-channel mixer, pretty fully featured as well. So you've got your 4 ups and downs here, or ins and outs, or open and close, whatever you want to call them. They've got fader start, so you can hold down shift and get fader start working on here if you're a mobile guy who likes to use fader start. There's a talk over. The effects are post fader, by the way. There's a mic with a low and high level here, and a mic echo. So mic echo is a really nice thing to have there, just if you're using you've got a MC with you, someone you want to put a bit of echo on there, a bit of presence. The mics there's 2 microphones, both can be switched on and off with echo and EQ. They both go right to the output, so they don't come through the mixer at all. So this is, again, very good mobile DJ stuff here. So in the center section then, the low, mids and highs, hardware filters, so they're going to work along with the effects with anything you've got plugged into this. Full standalone mixer, 4 inputs at the back, including 2 phonos, so you can plug CDJs, record decks, even your iPhone or a backup source into the back of there. So they all work through there, and the switches at the top here let you switch between PC, which is Serato, on all 4 decks, your line inputs, on these 2 decks, and these middle 2 decks also are engine. The engine USB stuff only works on the 2 center decks. So you've got 2-channel with the engine software, and you've got 4-channel with Serato, obviously 4-channel standalone as well. It's Serato DVS enabled. That means if you've got Serato plugged in, you can play Serato with record decks or CDJs or whatever on channels 3 and 4. And on channels 1 and 2, you could also play Serato. You could play from engine, or you could play from other inputs as well. Really versatile, and one of the nice things I liked about this is the fact that you can switch between the inputs concurrently. So you can be playing, and you can have something playing in Serato here, you can have something playing in engine here, you can then play something from line here, something from DVS here, whatever, and they all work. Even if you switch away from what you're playing and switch back to it, it's still there, it's still playing. There's no sense of you switch away from engine and it'll suddenly stop playing what's playing on it. It doesn't work like that. It's really Really seamless. So the other thing I forgot to point out, by the way, here is a needle drop. There's a needle drop here, which lets you just scroll through your track quickly and get to where you want to get to. It's quite cool on engine. If you put your hand on the jog wheel and do it, it'll work, but if you do it without the jog wheel, it won't. On Serato, that's meant to be the same with shift. In other words, that won't do anything, but when you hold down shift and do it, it will. For me, it was working all the time, which is a bit off-putting because sometimes I went to do the effects and accidentally touched the needle drop. Maybe I've just got a setting wrong or something, or maybe that's just kind of like a niggle they need to iron out. But just to let you know that. So that is that's the needle drop. So back to the mixer then. We've got the effects 1 and 2, so we can switch the 2 built-in hardware effects engines onto effects 1 and 2. And by the way, these control Serato's effects as you would expect on any Serato controller if you are using them with the switches set to PC. So that's that. You've got Q on all 4 channels. You can assign the crossfader to the channels that you want. There is on the front here a crossfader curve adjust, so you can have a very tight crossfader or you can have it nice and smooth, depending on whether you're playing a 10-hour house set or a 20-minute scratch demo. The headphones are on the front. There's also an 1/8" headphone socket here as well. Round the back from the right, we have a Ethernet cable or a link cable there, which is to be used for forthcoming software to control lighting, video and pyrotechnics. So that all sounds pretty amazing, but we're not sure what's going to happen with that yet. Looking forward to seeing that. Kensington lock. Here's our microphone inputs for mic 1 and mic 2. I'd like to have seen one of those on the top of the unit for ease of access, but they're an XLR and a standard jack, 1/4" jack there. Here's our inputs and our earth poles. So we've got inputs here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that let us put our external inputs in there for CDs, phono and so on. This is our output, so we've got a master output, master RCA unbalanced, which is what I'm using here. There's also a master XLR balance. This is good for mobile guys who might want to plug straight into their PA at quite a distance. And there's a Booth XLR out there as well. This is a USB hub to PC. So this is basically a through from your computer. It's quite useful if you haven't got enough USB sockets on your computer and you want to plug something else in, but it doesn't get recognized by the Denon unit itself. Just think of this as an extension of your computer's USB sockets. There is the standard USB here, which I haven't got plugged in at the moment, but if we were using it with Serato, we'll have a look in a minute. That's where we'd plug that in. And you have the little loop here for plugging, for making this a little bit tidier and stopping it getting yanked out, which is the 12-volt input from the transformer. And here's our power on/off socket. So I'm just going to move my camera in here and get it on that screen there so I can show you how the screens work with engine. So this is a set on here that I've prepared on the software here. Have a little look at this software. This is the engine software that lets you load your tracks up. You can import from Serato on here and keep all your cue points and so on. But basically, this software is there for you to get stuff ready and put it onto USB to plug into here. Then your search works better, your waveforms, as you're about to see, your sync and everything works fine. You can play off USB without doing any of that, but that's the best way of doing it. However, you're going to see Serato in a minute as well. If you wanted to switch from Serato to Serato, 2 DJs playing with the same system, different laptops and so on, you could just have a couple of tracks on a USB and use this to keep the music playing in the background when you're switching over. So it's quite versatile. Anyway, I've got an engine prepared library on here. I'm going to plug that into here. And once that's plugged in, on the 2 engine channels, we can switch to the little engine logo, and then it gives us the chance to choose which USB we want. I'm going to choose the first one, and there's my music. It will all load up on here, and I can select. Now, there's loads of stuff you can do here. I'm not going to go into a massive amount of detail because it's all pretty self-explanatory, but you can select create and playlist. You can sort by what's useful to you. A nice thing is that if you hold down the shift button and turn select, you can go through the letters of the alphabet and get quickly to a track that you might want to play. So if I want to play that one, I can just hit load, and that's going to pop up on this deck here, and then hit play, and we're off. My music's now playing on this deck. I've got real tight jog wheel control, very, very similar to using a controller, and that's the point really. They've managed to get, with these 2 built-in full color screens, they've managed to get USB music to sound and feel just like you're using a controller. Frankly, just like you're using something like a Nexus system from Pioneer with Recordbox DJ, which this is similar to. But they're both on their own screens here, which is the difference between this and the XDJ RX by Pioneer, which has 1 screen in the middle. You just maybe have a preference over which one of those you prefer. I want to show you this. These effects here, there's an echo there, there's a phaser here, and there's a noise effect here. And there's also beat control, so you can alter from 32 beats or 8 bars all the way down to some very small divisions of a beat. And there's a tap there as well for that. I wanted to show you that because clearly this is something that you don't often get on USB controllers. They used to have really rudimentary effects that didn't sound very good. These sound really good. So you've got effects there, you've also got a filter. So these are hardware effects. These are built into this unit. There's my stop time, see? Really slow stop or a quick stop. These are hardware effects, they're built into the unit. I could have just a CD player or my phone plugged into the back of here and still use the filter and still use these effects, which is pretty powerful. Now, the pads all work as you would expect. With this, it's quite nice to see that. Again, from USB, you're getting cues, rolls, slicer, and so on going on here. So that's all cool. There's a slip mode as well, which again will work fine on this. So that's kind of engine very, very briefly. Say we wanted to use Serato. Well, that is really simple. I'm going to grab this USB here. I'm just going to plug that into the back here, where the USB goes. I launch Serato on my computer and I set the Denon to PC. I'm just going to set it on all 4 decks to PC, and I now have 4 Serato decks to play with on my computer. So let's grab a track onto one of my Serato decks. Let's grab that one there. I loaded it there with my mouse. I could have easily loaded it here as well. And I now have that track ready to play on here. I've got Serato playing through this channel here, but say I wanted to now play something from Engine through the other channel. I switch the channel to Engine and I just go and load something on this channel from that Engine deck there. So load a track up on there. And now on this deck here, that track is coming straight from that USB drive. And I can switch away from that. I can switch back to PC on that deck if I wanted to. So this is now a Serato deck. And I can now select from my Serato library on here, on deck 2 on here, but I can switch back and that track's still playing where it was in the first place. So in other words, it let you do things concurrently, which is a really nice feature. So let's talk a little bit about the Serato implementation here. The effects now are your software effects on Serato. There's the needle drop. And as I said earlier, I can't find a way of stopping that. That's not meant to happen like that unless you hold down shift. I'm not sure why. But there's a needle drop. We've also got our effects. This is now Serato's software effects. These are now on screen. If I switch to the effects on there, you can see that I'm not controlling Engine's effects anymore. These are built into Serato. And so that all works with software. But here we have our filter. Again, it's still there. And in Serato again, we've got our cue, roll, slicer and sampler. There's also quite a nice tone play thing if you happen to have pitch and time in there. What else can I tell you that's special about Serato in here? You have an audio and video crossfader link here. This is really nice because Serato has got a video plugin, of course, and Denon's always been quite good at this. I remember back in the early the Denon 6000 used to be able to do that with Virtual DJ. So you can use a crossfader to control your visuals as well when you're using it in Serato. I'm sure they're going to make more use of that when they use that Ethernet connection on the back there that we pointed out and they've been teasing a little bit later on. Now, one thing I didn't talk to you about was around the back, there's a mono and stereo switch somewhere around there, which is a really nice addition. A lot of times DJs don't want to play in stereo, so maybe you've got a PA system and your speakers are kind of set up to fill various areas of your venue rather than give a stereo image. And sometimes PA systems don't have that on them, but you can switch it to stereo mono at the back there. So are you going to want this? Well, if you're a mobile DJ, probably yes. If you're a mobile DJ, you've probably already seen that it's going to be really easy to just prepare your library, plug it in with Engine. You know, mobile DJs tend to only use 2 decks anyway, so although Engine's only 2 deck, that's not really going to bother you. You've got the great microphone channels, 2 of them echo, talk over, brilliant outputs, so you can plug into a PA with XLRs a long way away and your booth and stuff. Mobile guys, rugged build quality, fader star, all the stuff that mobile DJs want, you're going to love it. If you're a DJ looking for a pro controller that pretty much ticks all the boxes and Serato is your software, again, I think this is pretty much a no-brainer. The reason it's so easy to recommend is the price. You're getting a lot for your money here. So even if it were just a Serato controller, it would be pretty nice. You've got the build quality, you've got video, you've got all the other stuff I was talking about. But it's not. It's a standalone mixer as well. It's got the screens built in as well. It's got the Engine backup as well. You don't need to use Engine at all. You could just have a couple of songs on USB, plug those in there and switch from Serato DJ to USB to Serato DJ in the booth without having to interrupt the music. So it's really flexible and really versatile. So for all those reasons, I think we're onto a winner here, and I think Denon should be proud of this one. A lot more videos coming exploring this, as I said. This is our first initial review of the Denon DJ MCX8000. Now there's a full review written up over on digitaldjtips.com that goes into more detail about some of this stuff, so go and have a read of that if you're interested. But for now, this has been me, Phil Morse, here at the Digital DJ Tips studio with our look at the MCX8000.